50%. I start my speech with this simple statistic, not because it's the chance of rain forecasted in the weather report, but because 50% is the population of freshmen at my high school that received a deficiency grade last year. Crazy, right? Desperate to cure this failing epidemic, a new program has been implemented called Senior Mentor, in which myself and 7 other seniors become personal teachers and tutors to 2 classes of freshmen during 4th period. As one of these mentors, I have uniquely experienced high school as both a teacher and a student, which has led me to conclude that creating a robust public school curriculum does not begin by changing the content of what we learn, but rather how we learn it. Let's go back to the fact that half of the freshmen at my high school had failed a class. While there are a multitude of factors that contribute to this number, the dominant problem is the way that students are assessed. They have no desire to learn, and earning a good grade is actually the culprit. For example, I'm a 2nd-year AP Calculus student, and I can tell you that there is nothing more degrading and agonizing than attempting to maintain an A in that class. I will study for hours on end, trying to figure out how to do partial fraction decomposition of an integral, only to watch my grade drop after every test. And while I verbally recognize that it's perfectly okay to have a B, my mind will never accept that, because somewhere deep in my subconscious, I have been conditioned to believe that earning that perfect A is the only way to feel worthy of the title smart. You see, our current letter grading system ranks students in a vicious and never-ending cycle of grade points and test results until finally the students snap. They come to accept that failing grade and they lose the motivation to learn anything. School becomes a stepping stone into their future rather than a place to pursue intellectual curiosity. Psychologist David LeBray shares that in a letter grading system, grades, credits, and degrees are the objects to be pursued rather than learning itself. If we want a curriculum that will create well-rounded and intellectual young adults, this clearly isn't the way to do it. Instead, I propose transitioning into a pass-fail grading system so that students will have the freedom to explore their creative and academic interests without the tiresome pressure of being a perfect student. This is the ideal replacement for a couple of reasons. The first of which being that according to the National Institute of Health, students who learn in environments more focused on mastery, like in the pass-fail system, versus competing for grades, exhibit higher levels of motivation and achieve greater learning outcomes. These more intrinsically motivated students are then far more likely to succeed in the real world, like in the job, when grades will not be assigned in exchange for their efforts. Additionally, the researchers at American University conclude that a pass-fail system minimizes competition and inequality among peers without compromising a high standard of education. Teachers may still set stringent requirements for passing their class to ensure that students are giving maximum effort and are comprehending the material, but students are not then defined by a single letter grade within those predestined guidelines. They have more room to make mistakes and actually enjoy the learning process without feeling like they're being compared to the person sitting next to them. In the real world, there will always be learning moments in our life, and we want students to accept these and to enjoy these learning moments. Now, in light of recent book bannings and content cuts, I can understand why many of us would expect to see anti-banning and censorship laws as a potential solution. And I don't disagree. Our history is crucial to understand, as it allows us to learn from past mistakes while also providing a sense of identity to who we are and how we got here. If we try to shelter students by withholding key historical information, such as slavery and women's voting rights, we are not protecting students. Instead, we are preparing to send entire generations into the world without the skills to properly navigate it. Students need exposure in school so that they are capable of recognizing nuances and complexities. But this problem can also be solved if we prioritize real learning in the classroom. Even if we were to mandate that topics like slavery and women's voting rights must be taught, that would still not equate comprehension and the development of critical thinking skills if students are only mindlessly copying strings of text to earn that good grade. We need a solution that addresses the learning crisis, and implementing pass-fail grades is the first step. Now, if Franklin D. Roosevelt was right in claiming that education is the real safeguard of democracy, don't we owe it to our society to give students the opportunity to really learn and to love learning? It only takes one look around to realize how important education is. I mean, when was the last time you turned on the news to a positive headline about world peace? I can't imagine it's been recent. Thus, we need to equip students with the necessary tools to navigate these complicated parts of life, a skill we do not gain without learning. Thank you.